Sometimes we don't feel very lovable. Anybody? Sometimes maybe not feeling very lovable. And yet, let's just find a quiet spot and remind ourselves that we have a good, good Father. I wanted to have a little fun today. I've talked to pastors who say when days like this come along, they don't alter their sermon whatsoever. Whatever series they're in, they just go right ahead, and this might get a little cursory recognition. But I think that it's important for us to recognize these little respite holidays along the way. They're called holidays for what reason? They're holy. Yeah, they're set apart. They're special. God honors fathers. God made fathers. God is Father to us. And so I found myself kind of without inspiration. I was going down one path, and I just wasn't coming together. And, on those nights, I just say, it's time to go to bed and try it again tomorrow. And I woke up with a little bit of inspiration. But then I had to go to work, right? Bruce and I came down here and did some chores around the place like we do on the first Saturday. And I hoped I could get back to it. I'd spent a little time capturing it, and so I was able to get back. But one little piece of that, do you know what a limerick is? Okay, so with a little help, I developed this little Father's Day limerick. I'm Dad, I'm Pop, and I'm Pappy. Depending on who's feeling sappy. They shout and they cheer whene'er I come near. Their hugs make my heart warm and happy. Yes. One more time. Okay. All right. Well, that's the idea. Now, so being a dad, of course, requires having children. And this man is teaching his boy how to be a man.
Copy his dad's muscle flexor or went viral on Instagram. Even though the baby was trying to copy his dad, the comment section had another opinion.
Those were in the comments. Okay, all right, moving on. Happy Father's Day, dads. Happy Father's Day. It's a day dedicated to honoring them dad dudes. And so, with a little help, did you say yuck? Well, you're in trouble today. You know what? I've developed a real appreciation for Homer. He's like every man. He's sort of, I thought about it. He's kind of like the emojis. You can put any expression on him, and he's representative of so many things. So I'm sorry, Cheryl. Too bad. Oh, how so? Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't really follow Homer and Bart and the Simpson family either, but I think maybe we missed something. And it's true, when I look at a lot of the old sitcom types of things, we just turn the station. But you know what? There were some pretty funny, wholesome things back in former days. So anyway, we're going to move forward, and you'll see a lot of Homer because he's iconic in my representations, because he has a lot of faces. It only takes a few moments to become a father. It takes a lifetime to be a dad, right? Oftentimes in those few minutes, you're technically a father, but you're never seen again, right? Or you're a deadbeat dad or one of those other things. But it takes a lifetime to be a dad, and that's kind of what we'll see today. Do they look alike? Father. This was the other piece of inspiration that I got. Father, thinking of it as an acrostic. You know what that is? F-A-T-H-E-R. Father. Father. There you go, Cheryl. Father. So where my inspiration failed me, Bart helped me, or not Bart, but Homer helped me bring it to life. Who names their kid Homer? Maybe so. I know of someone whose middle name is Homer, and it just seems odd to me because it seems archaic. Father, let's take a look at it. F. Let's look at what the F in Father might stand for. But first, Lord, I just pray your hand, the hearts would be receptive to this lighthearted message that I think has much to say about what it means to be a father, growing in to become a dad, and beyond. Recalling our fathers and our lives as fathers or spouses of husbands who were fathers. And so, Lord, let it have a broad impact on us as we bring those pieces together and recognize Father's Day today. Father, we need something for the F. He's fun. Father can be fun. Anyone have a fun father? I see hands. Yeah, you had fun dads. What was this? Well, you know, it's a really, really important thing to have a fun dad because he's instilling something in you. He's taking a light-hearted view of life. Now, that may not be all the times, but for sometimes he is light-hearted. A little laughter can lighten big burdens. Nancy will often tell me, don't be so serious. A cheerful heart is good medicine. There are scriptural connections to all of these things. A cheerful heart is good medicine. On a dark day, a little laughter can lighten big burdens. Light-hearted dads can set the tone for their home. Yeah? Isn't that good news? Isn't that a good thing to remember if you're a dad and you're all caught up in your own stuff and it begins to seep out and impact the environment around you? F, a father can and should be fun to be around. He also needs to be available. I hear a lot about this one. You know what? In fact, all of these things are a bit incriminating for me. I can see where I didn't get these things from my father and I didn't give these things to my sons because it wasn't familiar. It wasn't the focus of what life seemed to be all about. It's not uncommon for dads to be too busy to be providing for the family and miss the importance of just being present, being available. It communicates value. Being physically and emotionally present is one of the greatest gifts a father can give. Is God ever too busy for us? I've heard people say, I believe, but I don't want to bring my problems to God. He's got bigger things to handle. And, sometimes I'm inclined to think that way. The other night at our men's group, we were praying for Stacy Wilson, who's been one of us for a long time and has very serious, perhaps even terminal conditions at hand. And she's been suffering with that for a long time. And then I thought, and I think it's important to recognize, and I said it this way, but on a much smaller scale, my wife and I both have spots all over our back and our bodies that are diagnosed as folliculitis. Is that it? Folliculitis. And it's a sort of an infection of the skin pores. And you get all these little spots. And it's itchy all the time. Now that sort of seems like it doesn't weigh in light of someone with cancer that's pressing on their brain and bending their body and all of that. It seems like it doesn't count, but is it too small for God? No, and what would hinder someone from sharing that? Is it pride? Is it God, you're a good father, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. You know what? When we can share those things with the people around us, we're being vulnerable and real. And it opens the door. Well, I just stubbed my toe and it's bugging me so bad. You know what? Why not? Why not? God is never too busy for us, and we shouldn't take the attitude that he is. Now, if you're a hypochondriac and you're laying this stuff on people all the time, you'll know. They'll know. They'll get your number. God is never too busy for us. Being present matters more than being perfect. I don't know how many fathers are trying to be perfect, but being present, if you're looking at it and looking back and considering what you received from your father and what you've given to your children, this is an important one. There might be other things you're really trying to perfect, but this is probably one of the most important. So there they are. They're sitting on the couch. There's a person visibly missing, but let's bring him onto the scene. There he is. There's Homer sitting with the family. He looks as simple as watching TV together. He's not asleep yet. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. So when I suggest or say that it's not uncommon for men to be absent, too busy providing for their families, they're missing the importance of this, of the reality that we're looking, in some ways, we're looking to our own interest. Now, when you are bringing home the bacon, I wouldn't consider that to be the case. But if you've got all kinds of hobbies and things that you're doing that take you away from the home, because it's a bit of self-indulgence. You're not looking to others, the interests of others. You're just doing your own thing. That's not a mark of a good father. Because being available communicates value. It's really part of a love language, isn't it? Yeah, touch, time, words of affirmation. You can't do that from a distance by not being there. I still have a lot to learn, especially in this area. The impact of absent fathers are significant and multifaceted, and there are a lot of stats on that. I didn't want to go into numerical stats, but if you can read these, they're all on one page. Poverty, in terms of poverty, children in father-absent homes are almost 4 times more likely to be poor. Behavioral issues. They face a higher risk of behavioral problems and are more likely to engage in criminal activities. Emotional health. A father's emotional absence can lead to long-lasting emotional scars, affecting a child's self-esteem and relationships. There's a trickle-down effect. Educational challenges. Children without fathers often struggle academically, which can affect their future opportunities. It may be because of their behavioral issues and their emotional health, or it could be poverty as well. It could be all of those things that make them not really receptive in the classroom. It's not the thing that's largest on their minds, the most pressing on their minds. Increased risk of substance abuse. Fatherless children are at a greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse. All of these factors illustrate the profound effects of the absence of a father that an absence of a father can have on a child's life. Do you see yourself in any of these? That could be for men and women, because you've all had dads. Was there a trickle-down impact of any of these things in your life? I can see. I don't know that I understand frugality. I would not call it poverty. But that was the model. And so I would see that all of these things have trickled down into my life to some degree. Growing up on a farm, a dairy farm, my dad was there with us all the time, but always busy. And part of what he did was to make sure we were busy because there was so much to do. There were 5 kids, and we were kind of staggered in age, so that there was always someone coming up as a helper. I want to look at that last one, increased risk of substance abuse. If there's emotional distance, you're much more likely to fall into that. Can have a kind of a numbing effect. It may bond you with a certain peer group. I bonded with some people that didn't have fathers. So there was that influence on me, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that my boys, they've got some of this stuff passed down to them as well, but I'm so glad that they weren't caught up in the drug scene. It's so dangerous today. So dangerous. So addictive. So suicidal. Deadly. Very deadly. And so, these are without the statistics, because there's lots of numbers to go with this. One was about prisoners, where on these holidays, Father's Day and Mother's Day, they would provide cards. And on Mother's Day, the prisoners needed 1,000 cards so that they could send a greeting to Mother. And on Father's Day in that same prison, there was only a need for 6 cards. A lot of absentee fathers that impacted the lives of their children in such devastating ways that prison is one of the statistics. How many are inclined to go to prison? Moving forward, Father, we looked at available. You see, it just ain't the same without you, Pop. Father is a teacher. Dads, do you think of yourselves as teachers, or did you have a dad who was a good teacher? Mine wasn't with words, and so this fits well. Train up a child in the way he should go, and then what? And what? Hang on a second. Something from Tyson that you would put here. Okay, well, Bruce, let me have a microphone, please. Okay. It would fit anywhere? Okay, well, this one wasn't done, but hello? No. Testing, there we go. Bruce, we won't put this on the web. Go ahead. You can do what you're doing, but we're not posting. Okay, Darren, my youngest son is going to read something from my eldest son who sent this from Spain.
Yeah, and I was thinking this even could go with the available one, because there's mention of perfect and good and everything.
Darren.
Yeah.
Come on up here.
Okay.
Want everybody to see my youngest son, who I'm so proud of.
So my brother sent this to us to send to Dad for Father's Day. And I tag myself into some of this because it encapsulates some of my own thoughts as well. But actually, I'm right-handed, so this is weird. Okay. He says, "My dad taught me what it means to be a man. I grew up, probably like most boys, in awe of my father, so I find myself reflecting on how fortunate I am to be the son of Kevin Stottrup. Though he is not perfect, he is good. And by his example, I have learned countless lessons that have shaped me into the man that I am. My dad never taught me how to be materially successful in this world, but he showed me that a life of conviction was far more valuable than wealth. He never taught me to covet what others had and how to take it from them. Instead, he showed me how to happily make the most of what I earned by my own merits, and how I could use my creativity to make what I could not buy from the resources at hand. He never taught me how to lie and manipulate others for my own personal gain, but by living my life by his principled examples, I have deeply human relationships with people who genuinely admire and love me. Thank you for being the man that you are, a man that I will always be proud to call my dad. Love always, your son, Tyson."
How sweet. Nice. Nice. Thank you, Tyson. And thank you for being here, Darren. We appreciate it. Train up a child in the way he should go, and what's the rest? Yeah, when he's older, he will not depart from it. We have to recognize the prodigal son component. It's not just an automatic. Sometimes The wild oats have to be sown, the mistakes have to be made, all of those kinds of things until the son comes to himself, looks at what he's accumulated for himself and realizes it's nothing. He was so much better when he was part of the family and part of the family of faith. Even though kids might think you're all wise, dads can admit they don't have all the answers. It's okay. In fact, it's a much better thing to say, I don't really know the answer to that. But be willing to look, listen, and learn about what your child's interests are. When your children are asking questions, they're curious about something. It's an area, it's a teaching moment. And you might say, I don't know the answer to that. Why are you asking? Well, that's fascinating. Why don't we look into that together? Let's check it out. Let's go to YouTube, for instance. There's a lot of good elements there. Because God teaches us patiently, teaches us patience and persistence. More is caught than taught. I said at the beginning of this that my dad didn't speak many words of wisdom into my life. He was really too busy, too preoccupied. But more is caught than taught. And so much of what Tyson was saying there was observation. Not so much that I was saying, Tyson, you got to live this way, and Tyson, you got to do that. But things that he picked up on. Teach with your life. Model what you want your children to learn. It kind of goes along with be the change that you want to see. It's live it. Let it be. More is caught than taught. Is this what you want to be teaching your children? Teach with your life. Model what you want your children to learn. Because more is caught than taught. Fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Instead, bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. The discipline and instruction of the Lord is not grab you by the throat and choke you till you submit. Is it? No, it's not. Oh, thank God. Thank goodness that's not the way it works. Father, F-A-T. What was the F? Fun. A? Okay, T? Let's look at H. H. He's a hero. He's a hero. Kids see their dads as a hero, a superhero even. Dad is his child's protector. He doesn't have to stand atop a tall building to be looked up to. My dad was my hero. In fact, I noticed that, and here was the deficit problem. The deficit was that he had the great opportunity to connect with me in a much deeper way because I wanted to emulate him. I looked up to him. He cast a long shadow. And when I learned that I couldn't really receive from him because of that long shadow, I moved as far away as I could. It's just the way things turned out. But I found myself living on the West Coast while there in the center, and much of my family, most of my family being there. And now I thought about that with my son Tyson, because I know I cast a long shadow on him. My level of motivation and activity and get up and go-ness and conscripting him so many of the years that we were together as a family, and that's how he could have a relationship with me. But now, I see that he's moved as far away as he can. And I think that's part of it. It's part of, and this is part of conversations we've had together, it's part of, you know what, I need my own space to operate at my own pace, to be who I am. And I've really enjoyed discovering him, rediscovering his musical abilities, his creative talents and skills, and Darren also. It's wonderful to see those things, and if space is what makes that possible, God bless it. Well, hopefully, when I look at it and I see so many family pictures that I'm not in, I realize I not only deprive myself, I deprive my family of something. I remember seeing a sign, a little card in my dad's in a workshop that says, "I've done so much with so little for so long. Now I can do anything with nothing." And so that's one of the areas where I've emulated and looked up to him, is his ability to work with so little and do so much. Father is a hero figure. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in times of trouble. A father's heroic superpower is his example. That's your example. That's your superpower. That's what makes you a hero, Dad. It's the example that you leave. You want it to be a heroic example. So whether you see your dad as a hero or as a zero, that's sad. That's sad, but there might be some who, in fact, I have heard a woman who was very bitter towards her father. When her term father came up or any reference to her dad, she really considered him a jerk, but that bitterness exuded from her. She thought her dad was a zero, and she didn't get over it. Well, how do we get over that? Forgive. Yeah, grow up. That's what he, and so many have been abused and sexually abused and mistreated by their fathers that they've got good reasons to well, they're broken. They're hurt. They're carrying the burden of abuse. But here's the thing. Whether you see him as a hero or as a zero, forgiveness is a key that will help you to get to this. Honoring your fathers, our fathers, is not optional. It's a biblical mandate. Honor your father and mother, which is the first, this is what Paul says in Ephesians 6:2, which is the first commandment with a promise. There are 10 commandments, right? We go up to the middle and we start the very first horizontal commandment, the first of them, first 5 being vertical, the second 5 being horizontal, how we act towards one another. It's the first one with a promise, Paul says, because he's looked at the passage closely. He's taken it to heart. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Showing honor to our earthly father and mother brings honor to your heavenly Father. Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. It honors God when we honor our mother and father. God is our fatherly model of being a promise keeper. It's the first command with a promise. He's a promise keeper. His desire is that we would live long in the land where his promises are fulfilled. Otherwise, we will miss the fact that every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father, our eternal Father. That's also part of what he says about himself. So fathers need to be encouragers. F-A-T-H. What was H? Hero. E is an encourager. I think there could be other E's. It could be exhorter, empowerer. That's a position a dad has, as he can build up. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up as you are already doing, and so much more so with your own children. Now, I don't know if you can read the caption there. It says, and this, of course, is classic Homer Simpson. If anything's hard to do, then it's not worth doing. Now, those are not wise words. They're not wise things to teach. They're comical. They make us laugh and even reveal some of our own tendency. So oftentimes I would hear my granddaughter say, "Oh, it's hard. It's too hard." No, you haven't tried. You need to try. You need to. If it's hard, you're going to learn something very valuable. You're going to learn a skill. You're going to learn something new. But back to this, children need encouragement. an affirmation from the number one hero in their life, the one with such great superpowers to encourage, to empower them. A father's words can build them up or tear them down. I've mentioned this before, and I don't mean to harp on my dad or spend too much time there, but one of the things, and it's been pointed out to me that I do it, you're bragging on someone else while your son is standing nearby, you know? And that son is just dying for his hero dad to give him a pat on the back. Just so eager to do that. And I used the high family value as I understood it was working hard, working long, being diligent. And so I was pretty slight of figure, relatively small, but we had to buck hay bales, you know, in the heat of the day and unload heavy sacks of grain and get them over to where they were stacked before the next one came off of the elevator. And I thought I would have to be impressing my dad. But there was never any particular mention of that. And then one day I heard him bragging on my city boy cousin for how smart he was. And I'm thinking, what? Now, not only do you not give me a pat on the back for what I do to try to fit the family values and receive a little approval, now you're bragging about something else on someone else? I give up. Probably partly, yeah. You're just doing what's expected of you, son. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's the job. He's not calling out for accolades. He's not begging for attention. Doesn't want to teach that. Things like that. And from my mother, it was, oh, you're such a show-off. I just needed a little attention, Mom. But it was taught as vanity. There's something wrong with you that you should want to draw attention to yourself, or that you should need something. I think it comes from their own deficits. Life didn't support that in the Depression years. Life was hard, and there wasn't a whole lot of time for that. Okay, so we got father. What are they? Oh, one more. There's an R. It's reliable. Reliable. Oh, my gosh. He's napping. That's familiar, huh? Okay, let's change that. Consistency earns respect. Let's get up. Let's wake up. Wake up, dads. It's not too late. You know, you might have been napping on the job in those early days of your life, but you can still show yourself to be a promise keeper. Reliability builds trust and reflects the steadfast nature of God, the ultimate Father, the ultimate promise keeper. Don't be wishy-washy. Jesus said, and let your yes be yes and your no be no. Consistent, reliable. God never changes. He's reliable. He will never let you stumble, slip, or fall, for he is always watching, never sleeping. Jehovah himself is caring for you. He's your defender. Here we go. Let's put it all together. Father. We have an F for fun. Available, teacher, hero, encourager, and, as we just saw, reliable. And you need to remember this. Dad won't always be with you in the way you might have remembered him. And, you know, I've mentioned that to Tyson, my older son, and he says, don't lay a guilt trip on me. No, I'm trying to help you with things I've learned. I missed valuable moments that one day you might miss too. You might realize, you know, I forfeited those because I was self-absorbed or I was harshly impacted and I haven't gotten over it. I like this one. He may have forgotten your name, but you haven't forgotten his. He'll always be Dad to me. You know, things change. The mind might slip. Dementia Alzheimer's, and yet still in relatively good health. And, so these are the moments for us to celebrate and to recognize. I think about it, we do celebration of life when they're gone. This is something that we need to do in the here and now, and I want to encourage you because I'm encouraging myself. It's important for us to celebrate the moments that we have. And I've said it before, I say it to remind you, church will change. This church will change as you have come to know it and experience it. Because in a couple of more weeks, we'll be in a position to announce the church that we're working with. We don't want to jump the gun, and they themselves haven't announced it yet to their congregation. So, but I say it, the church will change. It will be different. There will be a different people leading. I look forward to that time. I look forward to it for myself. I look forward to it for you. I look forward to the impact that a younger church family can have, a growing church family can have on the community that we're not able to do ourselves. With this, I would use this as a segue and pray for our offering. I'll just do that now. So whoever's going to receive the offering,